And they sang a new song before the throne, before the four living creatures and the elders, and no one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been purchased from the earth. Hello, saints. I'm reading about the 144,000 in Revelation chapter 14. That was just verse 3 that I quoted. And what we see here, these are the ones who give the message that follows there in verses 6 to 12, the three angels' messages. I know in the past some people have asked a question about the 144,000 and who they are, but let me just say this much about them right now. If you are giving any part of the three angels' messages to the world, you're doing the work of the 144,000. Just acknowledge that. That's plain and simple. And so let's take a look at what the message is. The number one message begins in verse 6, where John says, I saw another angel flying in mid-heaven, having an eternal gospel to give to those who live on the earth, to every nation, tribe, and tongue, and people. And he said with a loud voice, Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heaven and the earth, and sea, and springs of waters. This message is the central message that goes forth, and goes forth with this eternal or everlasting gospel that goes into the world. The church's mission has not changed. We are to give this message to the world at the end, but it's in the context of the end time because we see God now moving in to bring judgment into the world. He's restoring justice in an unjust world. He's taking back the kingdom. He's preparing for the fall of Babylon so his kingdom can move in, which is the eternal kingdom. And then we are calling people to worship true Creator God in the end. Worship him who made heaven and earth and sea and the fountains of water. And this stands in contrast to the false worship system we see of the beast in chapter 13. Don't worship the beast, worship Creator God. And that's the Elijah message that we give at the end of time. So wrapped up in here is this whole gospel message that we saw earlier in our devotionals dealing with Paul back in 1 Corinthians, where he was to preach the gospel. He said, God called me here to you at Corinth to preach the gospel. Not in fancy language, just smooth talk, but to give you the truth of the life and death of Christ, lest his gospel, lest the message of the cross be left void. We are to do the same thing at the end, but with more fervor as Christ is preparing to come back, as God is bringing justice back into the world and taking back his kingdom that we've waited so long since the fall of man. We have a privilege to share the good news as we build a kingdom. It's not just bringing people into the kingdom, but bringing people into the kingdom and restoring them back in the relationship with God to what they were really intended to be. Let's build a kingdom together as we prepare for Jesus to come. Blessings.